Greetings all, Gerald Clark with you here today. I'd like to announce our next upcoming conference, the Anunnaki Dominions of Mexico, which I'll kind of highlight in this video today so that you get an idea of what we're going to talk about. It's going to be located in Mexico City, so we're going to be staying at the Galleria Plaza in the Reforma district of Mexico City. This is kind of the tourist area of the city for those that have been there. The conference will be held from May 21st through the 23rd, 2016. The early bird price is $540 and full price at the door is $610 with a couple's discount. There'll be one full day of lecture for the first day, and then two tour days where we'll start out at the Anthropology Museum in Mexico City, which is very close to where our hotel will be, and then we'll visit the Olmec statue site at Tula, Hidalgo, Mexico, and then on the way back that same day we'll see Teotihuacan, where you have the pyramid of the sun and the moon, which is shown in the background of the slide. There's more information at geraldclark77.com on this event, and I'll just kind of walk through real quickly some of the items that we'll be discussing and some of the things to look for at this conference. Okay, so as I said, it's going to be titled Anunnaki Dominions of Mexico Symposium, 21st through 23rd. Here's some of the pictures of the area where we're going to be, a lot of the statues along the Reforma district, which are really interesting to see in and of itself for those who haven't been there. This is the first day tour at the Anthropology Museum, which is just world-class. And here's a picture of our recent trip to Teotihuacan so we could gather this information. And I don't have a picture of Tula here, but you'll see that in just a little bit. So what am I going to talk about in the lecture on day one, which is May 21st? Some of the very, very interesting connections of the Anunnaki of Nibiru and their connections to the gods and cultures in Mexico. I'll make that connection for you. It's very significant. Also, following some of the major races that were at the ancient sites that we're going to be discussing, to include the Aztec, the Maya, and the Olmec, we'll talk about their origins and their gods and how that connects to the Anunnaki. Very interesting to me, which has been kind of a recent study of mine, were the Aztecs, since they were one of the races that had their encounter at Teotihuacan. They were one of 7 races that came from Aztlan, so we're going to discuss that, the potential location of Aztlan, and some of the implications of the brothers that were part of those races that showed up as the gods to the Aztec and the Maya. Quetzalcoatl was one of them. He was one of the 7 brothers. And some of the recent lectures I was listening to by Manly P. Hall showed links from the Maya to Atlantis, which I agree with, but there were several other ways to get there, but I liked his supplemental information on that as well. We'll talk about the zodiacal alignment of the Avenue of the Dead and the links to the Mayan long count. It was a very interesting alignment anomaly that happened there. The Olmec connections to Egypt and Thoth, the Atlantean, are going to show up at Tula, and they also show up in the state of Veracruz and Tabasco, where there are 4 major Olmec sites there that we'll probably plan in another trip. One of the key points to note about Teotihuacan is it was used functionally as an ascension location for graduates of their school, and this is analogous to what happened at the Giza pyramids, in the King's Chamber, and also what happened in Babylon and other cities related to the higher level functions of the gods and their control of the lower level primitive workers getting out of the holographic illusion that they were born into. There was a very interesting connection with obsidian that was very prevalent at Teotihuacan. It was carved in various objects, just like we saw at Catalhayuk in Turkey. So there's a museum there on site at Teotihuacan that, time permitting, people will be encouraged to go visit that and see some of the modern day engineers and artisans that are sculpting this very hard obsidian stone into statues. Some of the very interesting recent finds at Teotihuacan will be discussed, including the underground facilities that were also suspected of use for ore mining And also the recent find of the mercurial pool that was found beneath Quetzalcoatl's temple, which I've actually sent an email and tried to ask if I can get site access to that during our visit. But no promises there, okay? Strategic survival location. This whole area is considered the spine of Mexico. And even though there are lots of volcanoes in the area, it was interesting why they moved from Teotihuacan to Tenochtitlan, which became Mexico City. And we'll talk about that and some of the legends involved. And some of the symbology, which is quite interesting. And some of the key topics from my Anunnaki of Nibiru and my seventh planet, with kind of an ascension focus, will be presented here as well, including a little more discussion of the holographic state of reality, and also the research I've been doing into light encoding of the reality matrix. So we'll talk about quite a lot of interesting topics to this. So we're going to dedicate a whole day to do this lecture with plenty of time for workshop question and answers and things like that. And then day tour, it will take an entire day to see this facility. We're going to take you over to the Museo de Antropología, is how it's pronounced in Spanish. And we'll do from 9 a.m. until you get a full day access, but you can stay as long as you want. We're not going to herd you like chickens, but there's a lot to see here. And it's very interesting how they've organized it by race and by ancient site in some of the cultural areas that they have on display. They're all very world-class, fantastic, and it'll help weave together the whole story before we go out to the ancient sites by looking at some of these and putting the pieces together. So yeah, here's a couple of shots of some of the statues that you'll see inside the museum. I think they're pretty impressive. Some made out of stone, some made out of metal even. There's the famous Aztec sunstone, which for those of you that are interested, there's a museum gift shop that has lots of books and things for decoding this if you want to have it for yourself. Definitely want to have your picture taken with the thing. Here's a horizontal stone that was quite impressive. You can see the size of it relative to people walking around. One of the very, very interesting finds, and it's on display here. I'm not sure what page it was open to at the point this picture was taken, but one of the Mayan codices that was salvaged is on display here at the museum. And we talk about this in the origins of the city of Aztlan, where these seven tribes came from, which is discussed in this codice. Here's another very impressive statue on display. Some of the Olmec statues from Tula are on display here, but you're also going to see them firsthand, up close and personal on the tour. Here's the city, the ancient site of Tula, where the Olmec statues are found. And remember, the interesting part about the Olmecs is their connection negroidally in their features, and also some of the giant heads they carved that connect them directly back to Africa. Well, we know Thoth came over from Egypt, Africa, his father's domain, circa 3113 BCE, which was the beginning of the Mayan long calendar. So their connection as stone workers that probably came from Africa will make a lot of sense when you start putting these pieces together. Here's a little bit closer picture of some of those statues. An amazing detail in the stonework that was done there. So you get a chance to get pictures next to those and see how large they really are when you're up close and personal. And then, as you can see in this picture, the Pyramid of the Sun, the Avenue of the Dead, and way down on this end is where Quetzalcoatl's pyramid is. So we're going to give you a chance to not only climb this and the Pyramid of the Moon, which is on the other end, but also go to Quetzalcoatl's pyramid. Here's another shot of the side. You can see the slopes. By the way, I did a new calculation of the slopes based on just using simple geometry to come up with the angle, and compared it with a couple of them that I had come up with in the video that seemed to be in contradiction. So I'll resolve that for you on site if you want. Here's a picture of some of the stone edifices and the sculptures on the Quetzalcoatl's pyramid. You can see the winged serpent, and also you can see the rain god picture here, and then the watery images back behind. So it's very, very interesting symbology of what's going on in this structure. So we'll talk about that. Here's where you get your cardio machine out and start it up, because this is quite a climb up here. So this is looking straight up the Pyramid of the Sun. The Pyramid of the Moon is off to your left, back at the other end. So we'll have already done that one if you want by the time we get to this one. But also the waterworks and underground facilities here are quite amazing when you start realizing what functionally they were doing here. I mentioned some of the obsidian work that is on display at a local museum on site at Teotihuacan, and some of the workers are still there showing, using modern tools how they're making this stuff. But some of the symbols and deities and symbology that they're capturing in their work is kind of a way to perpetuate this culture, and I think it's quite amazing. I haven't really priced a lot of this stuff, but I'm sure it's quite affordable for those of you that are collectors. So you'll definitely want to stop by here and give this place a peek and around. So just highlighting what we're going to offer. We're going to give you a full day lecture in Mexico City. We'll pay for the transportation and your entrance fees to Teotihuacan and Tula, and the entrance fee to the National Museum of Anthropology. So you guys are going to pay for your flight over in the room, and this will be just the cost for all those other fees. So it's very affordable. Hopefully some of you that came to our Chichen Itza conference, we look forward to having all of you back, and we're going to explore some new mysteries and connections with our ancient astronaut progenitors, and I hope you'll join Christa and I at this really exciting conference. Hope to see you there. Picture of our recent trip to Teotihuacan so we could gather this information, and I don't have a picture of Tula here, but you'll see that in just a little bit. So what am I going to talk about in the lecture on day one, which is May 21st? Some of the very, very interesting connections of the Anunnaki of Nibiru and their connections to the gods and cultures in Mexico. I'll make that connection for you. It's very significant. Also, following some of the major races that were at the ancient sites that we're going to be discussing, to include the Aztec, the Maya, and the Olmec. We'll talk about their origins and their gods and how that connects to the Anunnaki. Greetings all, Gerald Clark with you here today. I'd like to announce our next upcoming conference, the Anunnaki Dominions of Mexico, which I'll kind of highlight in this video today so that you get an idea of what we're going to talk about. It's going to be located in Mexico City, so we're going to be staying at the Galleria Plaza in the Reforma district of Mexico City. This is kind of the tourist area of the city for those that have been there. The conference will be held from May 21st through the 23rd. There's more information at geraldclark77.com on this event, and I'll just kind of walk through real quickly some of the items that we'll be discussing and some of the things to look for at this conference. Okay, so as I said, it's going to be titled Anunnaki Dominions of Mexico Symposium, 21st through 23rd. Here's some of the pictures of the area where we're going to be, a lot of the statues along the Reforma district, which are really interesting to see in and of itself. for those who haven't been there. This is the first day tour at the Anthropology Museum, which is just world class. And here's a 2016. The early bird price is $540 and full price at the door is $610 with a couple's discount. There'll be one full day of lecture for the first day, and then two tour days where we'll start out at the Anthropology Museum in Mexico City, which is very close to where our hotel will be. And then we'll visit the Olmecs statue site at Tula, Hidalgo, Mexico. And then on the way back that same day, we'll see Teotihuacan, where you have the pyramid of the sun and the moon, which is shown in the background of the slide. Very interesting to me, which has been kind of a recent study of mine, were the Aztecs, since they were one of the races that had their encounter at Teotihuacan. They were one of 7 races that came from Aztlan. So we're going to discuss that, the potential location of Aztlan, and some of the implications of the brothers that were part of those races that showed up as the gods to the Aztec and the Maya. Quetzalcoatl was one of them. He was one of the 7 brothers. And some of the recent lectures I was listening to by Manly P. Hall showed links from the Maya to Atlantis, which I agree with, but there were several other ways to get there, but I liked his